O eternal and almighty God, from whom all power and wisdom come, we are assembled here before thee to frame such laws as may tend to the welfare and prosperity of our province. Grant, O merciful God, we pray thee, that we may desire only that which is in accordance with thy will, that we may seek it with wisdom, and know it with certainty, and accomplish it perfectly, for the glory and honor of thy name, and for the welfare of all our people. Amen. We acknowledge we are gathered on Treaty 1 territory, and the Manitoba is located on the treaty territories and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Anishinaabe, Dakota Oite, Dene, Sulene, and Neothorg nations. We acknowledge Manitoba is located on the homeland of the Red River Métis. We acknowledge northern Manitoba includes lands that were and are the ancestral lands of the Inuit. We respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making and remain committed to working in partnership with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. Please be seated. Routine proceedings, introduction of bills, committee reports, tabling of reports, ministerial statements, member statements. Member statements. No one doing member statements today? The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I rise today to recognize Major Andrew Fluke, CD, an outstanding Rossmere constituent whose leadership and lifelong service to the Canadian Armed Forces continues to inspire us and those around him. Over the course of his impeccable career, Major Fluke has dedicated himself to supporting the Canadian Cadet Program, helping to shape, mentor, and motivate thousands of young people across Canada. Whether it was commanding the 407 Queen's Own Cameron Highlanders Army Cadet Corps or helping young musicians find their rhythm in the Army Cadet Music, Pipes, and Drum program, Major Fluke has always led with heart and a focus on helping others succeed. Today, as an area elemental advisor, he continues to guide and strengthen cadet programs across Manitoba, ensuring youth in every community have the opportunity to learn, grow, and serve. Beyond his military work, Major Fluke remains deeply involved in Rossmere. For more than a decade, Major Fluke has served as the 116th president of the St. Andrew's Society of Winnipeg, volunteering his time with groups such as the Queen's Own Cameron Highlanders Advisory Board, the 78th Fraser Highlanders, and Scouts Canada. As Remembrance Day approaches, we not only honor Major Fluke, but we also recognize the many members and veterans of the Canadian Armed Forces whose courage, sacrifice, and continued service have shaped our country. Major Fluke's dedication, mentorship, and community spirit reflects the very best of Rossmere and Manitoba and the proud tradition that the service defines here in Canada. I ask all of my colleagues today to join me in celebrating Major Andrew Fluke, his wife Julie, his mom Nancy, for their outstanding contributions to our community, our province, and our country. Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Thank you, Andrew Fluke.
Yeah.
Further member statements? The Honourable Member for Dawson Trail.
Today I rise to take a moment to recognize the start of November and remind everyone the importance of checking in on the men in your life, your dads, sons, uncles, brothers, and friends. Beyond the mustache, Movember stands as Canada's leading charity dedicated to transforming men's mental health, including efforts right here in Manitoba. The organization funds vital research and programs that tackle prostate and testicular cancer, men's health, and suicide prevention. This work matters deeply to all Manitobans. This work matters a lot to me as a man who shared his personal struggles about men's mental health. Men in our province live on average 4.5 years shorter than women, and 2 of the 10 federal ridings with the highest rates of premature male mortality, Churchill, Kiwinuk, Asiki, and Winnipeg Centre are here at home. This Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, let us join the November community in fostering opening meaningful conversations about men's health and in exploring how we can better support men, their families, and communities across Manitoba. I was honored to meet with Movember's Catherine Corville, Director of Policy and Advocacy, and discuss their focus and initiatives. We greatly value the importance of your work your organization undertakes and looks forward to future collaboration to ensure what men in our province and across our country receive the support and care they rightfully deserve.
The Honourable Member for Kildonan River East.
Honourable Speaker, I rise today to celebrate the incredible businesses that are bringing energy, entertainment and community spirit to Kildonan River East. I request leave to have the names of my guests entered into Hansard. For a long time, it felt like new attractions were all in the south end of Winnipeg. Not anymore. Henderson Highway is buzzing with creativity and life. Smash and Axe Arcade Disco has put fun on the map in our community as Winnipeg's first Smash Room with augmented reality axe throwings. It is a place where friends, families, and neighbors can connect, unwind, and share a few laughs. Our Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation was thrilled to hear about this new innovative concept. Our Minister of Innovation and New Technology can't wait to check out this first-of-its-kind Manitoba business personally. Just down the road from Smash and Axe, Jeffrey's Restaurant and Lounge is a true community hub. When the current owners took over, they reinvested in the space and it shows. Jeffrey's is a go-to spot for birthdays, fundraisers, and live music nights right here in Kildonan River East. Jeffrey's gives back to our community with countless charitable initiatives. This shows that when a small business is invested in our community, neighbors notice and want to support them in return. Longtime favorite also is Oma's Bake Shop, and they've been serving Winnipeg for nearly 50 years. I went there as a child, and it remains one of our family favorites to this day. The bakery keeps the beloved recipes and traditions alive that the community has cherished for decades. Small business success comes from hard work, courage, sacrifice, and community pride. Thank you to these local Kildonan River East small business owners. Please rise and join me. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk.
Honourable Speaker, as Remembrance Day approaches, I want to share the story of one of my heroes, Pierre Martin, who was known as Peter to most who knew him and Grandpa to me. Peter was born October 2nd, 1920 and entered military service at the age of 19 in July of 1940. He enlisted in the Army, and when I questioned what drew him to the Army, he simply stated that the line was much shorter than his first choice of enlisting in the Air Force. After completing basic training, he was deployed to England, where he served as a dispatch rider on a Harley-Davidson motorcycle, often performing his duties under the cover of night and without any headlights. Grandpa was well trained in combat, knowing his way around handguns, rifles, Sten machine gun, and the Piat anti-tank gun. These skills showed their value when his division landed in Normandy, France. From there, they fought their way through Caen, Falaise, up through Antwerp and into Germany. It was in Germany where he was seriously wounded. He suffered severe injuries that required several surgeries, including facial reconstruction. The surgeons did a great job, leaving him home with only slight disfigurement, in which he resembled Jean Chrétien when he spoke. Refusing to return to Canada after being injured, he returned to his regiment and later was assigned to his commanding officer as his personal aide and driver. He returned to Canada in early 1946 after being away for nearly 6 years. Peter became an electrician upon returning and served Canada once again by working on the installation of the Defence Early Warning System in the Canadian Arctic. Grandpa and all the soldiers that have served are true heroes that protect the world from evil, and we owe thanks and great respect for our way of life and liberty. Honourable Speaker, as Indigenous Veterans Day and Remembrance Day draws near, I ask for leave for a moment of silence for all who have answered the call to protect the freedoms that we hold so dear, lest we forget, Honourable Speaker.
Is there leave for a moment of silence? Leave has been granted. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Kirkfield Park.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I am so very proud to recognize two hardworking Manitobans from Kirkfield Park and to reflect on how our society grows stronger when everyone, including those with disabilities, is fully included in our workplaces and communities. Recently, I was invited to Connect Employment Services Take Your MLA to Work Day at the Boston Pizza in Birchwood. There, I met Clinton Walcott and Andrea Campe, two Connect clients who are valued members of the restaurant team. I learned about their roles, their experiences, and the pride they take in their work. They even took me behind the scenes to see them in action, showing what inclusion truly looks like in practice. Andrea has worked part-time at the Boston Pizza for 3 years. Her duties include preparing portions for the day, service, and dishwashing. Clinton, also a part-time dishwasher, has been with Boston Pizza for over 20 years and was the first Connect client hired at this location. Both Clinton and Andrea are known as dependable, positive, and hardworking team members who bring energy and kindness to their workplace. Their contributions show that when people of all abilities are given the opportunity to participate and belong, our communities become stronger and more connected. Connect Employment Services plays a vital role in this vision. The organization empowers Manitobans with intellectual disabilities by linking job seekers with inclusive employers and providing the support needed for long-term success. Connect's CEO, Krista Bissett, shared that Boston Pizza has long been one of those outstanding employers that truly values inclusion. It was really inspiring to meet Clinton and Andrea and to witness the impact of Connect's work. Thank you, Andrea, Clinton, manager Chris Parr, and the entire Birchwood Boston Pizza team for showing what inclusion and action looks like. I'd like my guest names to be added into Hansard. Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you.
Prior to oral questions, I have a statement for the House. I'd like to draw the attention of all honourable members to the Speaker's Gallery, as I'm pleased to introduce the Assembly's Hansard Director, Mr. Todd LaRue. For those who are not familiar with this role, the Hansard Director is one of the Assembly's senior managers with responsibility for several full-time staff and over 30 sessional staff. We're all familiar with the Hansard as we rely on it on the transcripts on a daily basis. You may not realize, however, that our Hansard branch is a remarkable operation staffed by dozens of experienced and extremely capable people. Todd is now leading that impressive group, formally assuming this important role earlier this year. Todd has served the Assembly with distinction in several positions within Hansard since he first joined the Assembly in 1996. In addition to working during several general election campaigns in positions with Elections Manitoba, Todd began his career in this building as a proofreader and transcriptionist before working his way up to the key position of production and administration manager. Todd's dedication to Hansard, both the publication and the people who produce it, is both impressive and admirable. Along with his talented colleagues, he has been an essential part of maintaining the high editorial standards we've all come to expect from the Manitoba Hansard branch. Please join me in welcoming Todd to his new role, and while I have your attention, I'll also briefly pay tribute to the life of Todd's mother. Pat LaRue, who passed away in July of 2025 at the age of 93. Pat and her husband Ted were married for 61 years, and at the same time they were raising their own 4 kids. The couple welcomed 47 foster children into their home, many of whom were infants with complex health conditions, and one of whom they adopted. Pat was also an animal lover, raising many St. Bernard dogs, a breed she admired for their loving, protective nature. Along with Todd in the gallery today, we have siblings Joey LaRue, Tim LaRue, and Lori Liss. And I would ask all members to join me for a round of applause for a life well lived by a remarkable Manitoban, Mrs. Pat LaRue, and her son Todd. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition, the House Business, the Honourable Opposition House Leader on House Business.
Yes, on House Business, please, Honourable Speaker. Could you please canvass the House to see if there is leave to expedite consideration of a number of bills as follows. 1, at the beginning of orders of the day, government business on Monday, November 3rd, and Tuesday, November 4th, the House will consider report stage amendments to Bill 48. The House will not see the clock on Tuesday, November 4th, until the question has been put on all outstanding report stage amendments to that bill. 2, at the beginning of orders of the day, private members' business on Tuesday, November 4th, the House shall consider concurrence and third reading of Bills 208 and 234, with the question to be put immediately with no debate. Once the questions have been disposed of, the government House Leader or designate can call other business. 3, at the beginning of orders of the day, government business on Wednesday, November 5th, the House will consider second reading of Bill 46 with the Speaker to interrupt debate and put the question at 4:58 p.m. In the event of a recorded vote being requested, the bells are not to ring for a maximum of 5 minutes. 4, at the beginning of orders of the day, private members' business on Thursday, November 6th, the House will consider second reading of Bill 222 with no debate and the question put immediately. 5, once the question on second reading of Bill 222 has been resolved, the House will immediately resolve into Committee of the Whole to consider clause by clause of Bill 203, 222, and 226 with the chairperson to put all questions necessary to dispose of the bills without debate. The chairperson is to report back to the House immediately upon the committee concluding the business before it. 6, once the report of the committee has been received, the House will then immediately consider concurrence and third reading of Bills 203, 222, and 226 with the following provisions. Members may speak for up to 5 minutes. Debate on each bill shall be limited to 10 minutes total, with the Speaker to put the question after the debate has concluded or no other member wishes to speak to the bill. The House will not see the clock as 11 a.m. until the question has been put on all 3 bills. 7, at the beginning of orders of the day, government business on Thursday, November 6th, the House will consider concurrence and third reading of Bill 48, with the House to not see the clock until all members who wish to speak to the bill have spoken and the Speaker has put the question.
Is there leave for the House to expedite consideration of the bills as described by the opposition House Leader? Is there leave? I hear a no. Leave has been denied. Oral questions. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Honourable Speaker, one thing we can all agree on in this House is that we must do everything to protect children, help them grow, and foster a positive educational environment. But this Premier has been silent on legislation before this very House that does just that. He and his entire NDP government sit in their place and refuse to allow a vote on a bill that would require universal screening of children with learning disabilities. Manitobans, experts, parents, and everyone on this side of the House agrees this is good legislation. A real leader would recognize a good idea, even if it is not his, and support it. Why is the Premier lacking any sort of leadership to call Bill 225 forward that is best for children in Manitoba today?
The Honourable First Minister.
We voted for this bill at the second stage, and we're happy to continue working with the Liberal MLA from Tyndall Park on discussions around the future of this. But there is a matter of urgent public importance before this House right now. Bill 48. Right now, people are being harmed in the community because of meth use, and the PCs are playing games. We are bringing forward Bill 48 so people that are suffering from meth addiction and causing damage in the community can be taken off of the streets. And yes, we'll connect them with treatment there, but most importantly, we're going to keep you safe. Yeah. This is a common sense piece of legislation that everyone agrees on, and yet the PCs are playing games. They want to negotiate. Guess what, PCs, through you, the chair? There is no negotiating with people's safety out in the streets. Pass Bill 48 right now.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question.
Maybe the Premier didn't hear what I was saying. I'm asking a question that would require universal screening for children with learning disabilities. Not his Bill 48, which we will debate later. A bill before this House that is going to help children that have learning disabilities. The Premier says he supports it. Great. Will he commit today to bringing that bill forward for third reading and guaranteeing its passage before we're done sitting? Yes or no?
The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, yes, we supported this bill at second reading, and yes, we'll work with the Liberal member from Tyndall Park on discussing a path forward here. But when we talk about keeping you safe in this community, when we talk about school kids who have to walk home past people acting out their meth addiction, do they do the right thing? No. No, they do not. They stand in here playing games, procedures, they want to negotiate. You just saw a little stunt yourself at the start of QP today. Absolute nonsense. This is supposed to be the party of law and order, but instead all they are is the party of playing games. Absolutely shameful. The chief of police came down to say pass Bill 48. We're going to waste his time and call him back next session because they have lost their moral compass? I don't think so. We will stay here as long as it takes to pass Bill 48. The only question for the members opposite is how long will you support your lame duck leader in that process?
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary question.
More attacks, more cheap shots, more name-calling by this bullying Premier. It's embarrassing. I'm asking him a question that will help children that have learning disabilities. And what does he want to do? He wants to attack us. I'm asking him a question. He's not giving an answer. It's simple. He's playing political games. He says they supported it, but when I ask him, will he pass this bill this session, he refuses to answer. He pivots off onto something else and he makes personal attacks. On this side of the House, we're going to take the high ground. I'll ask him again. Will he commit to passing Bill 225 this session that will protect and help all children in this province that have a learning disability? Yes or no?
The Honourable First Minister.
You know, I'm a parent, and literacy is such an important priority. My wife and I and all the other people helping us raise our family spend a ton of time on this. And yeah, we spend time over and above what is provided in the public school system. So to all the parents out there who are worried about the substance of this issue and you want universal screening, you got it. That's right. It's happening, and we are going to continue improving it. However, when it comes to the members opposite who continue playing games with public safety, no, we're not having that. If they want to have a legislative game of chicken, okay, you got it. We will not prorogue the House this week. We will continue recalling the House this fall, this winter, and we will keep doing that until Bill 48 passes. There is no substance behind their opposition to this bill. It is an absolute miscarriage of the democratic process for them to block legislation that will keep you and your family safe. We have nothing better to do than to work on passing this bill.
Time has expired. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a new question.
Manitobans can see this Premier snake his way out of answering that question. I asked him if he'll pass that bill this session. He won't answer it. It's what he's doing, Manitoba. He's deceiving you. I'll ask him a very simple question again now on another issue. Does he believe he should stand up and protect children? Children that have faced sexual violence and sexual abuse. Will this Premier stand up and protect them? Does this Premier support the growing call for a minimum 1-year sentence for anyone that is possessing or accessing child pornography? Yes or no?
The Honourable First Minister.
Child sexual abuse images and videos are one of the worst things that people can be involved in, and we absolutely should bring the hammer down. There should be mandatory minimums. There should be no protective custody once incarcerated for people messing around with this. And when it comes to Opposition Leader Pierre Poilievre, my colleagues Doug Ford and Danielle Smith, who's weighed in on this, yes, I support their position. These common sense conservatives would also tell you when there's people high on meth swinging a machete, you should probably take them off the street. Pass Bill 40. Our Bill 50 here in Manitoba will allow people's rights to be respected and for a parliament or a legislature to rule on issues such as the one the member is bringing. So while we're here passing Bill 48, perhaps the PCs will like to pass Bill 50 as well.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question.
It's funny how the Premier mentions every other Premier in this province that actually has a backbone. But this Premier has been very silent on this issue. 72 hours later, he still hasn't said anything. On Friday, I sent a letter to the Prime Minister because the Supreme Court ruling said a 1-year sentence was too harsh for someone that has or accessing child pornography. On this side of the House, we disagree, and we say that 1 year is too short of a sentence. Right. This Premier has said nothing on that issue. So, will this Premier call the Prime Minister and tell him to invoke the notwithstanding clause to protect children from sexual abuse? Will this Premier show any sort of leadership and call the Prime Minister and say, Mark Carney, you should invoke the notwithstanding clause because that is the right thing to do when it comes to protecting children in Canada. Will the Premier do it? Yes or no?
The Honourable First Minister.
Child sexual abuse images are absolutely terrible, and our government has been working with community organizations like the Toba Centre to support victims. We've brought in legislative amendments to the Intimate Images Act to ensure that there is greater penalties. And we've also made it more difficult for people to change their identities. The member opposite wants to talk about the notwithstanding clause and being invoked. I'll do you one better. I'll invoke the code of the streets. Release these Skinners into general population and let's see what happens. But while we're in here talking about safety, let's talk about Bill 48. Methamphetamines are causing damage in the community. And while criminal defense lawyers may want to heckle from the other side, we are taking action to keep you safe. So, what is it going to be? Is it going to be law and order and public safety? Because if that's what the member wants to run on, he needs to pass Bill 48 tout de suite, which is French for right now.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
That answer is shameful, disgusting, and pathetic. I'm embarrassed for the Premier, not as an elected official, but as a father. He should apologize to all Manitobans. I'm going to quote something the Premier said. We've committed that we will never use the notwithstanding clause during our time in government. End quote. The Premier said that. Here is a clear example where a future leader, premier, or prime minister must invoke the notwithstanding clause to protect children. Children who are being sexually abused and exploited. This premier doesn't have the backbone or the leadership to stand up and say that is wrong. A minimum 1-year sentence is not enough. So, will the premier call the prime minister like every other premier has done in Canada and tell him to invoke the notwithstanding clause to protect our children?
The Honourable First Minister.
People who are caught up in the creation and distribution of child sexual abuse images need to be brought to justice and need to be taken off the street. And yeah, they should be locked away for way, way more than a year. But when people are out in the community causing chaos with methamphetamine, swinging a machete because they're high out of their minds on meth, we think that they should also be taken off the streets. But the members opposite are not. The members opposite are in here playing games. They want to block Bill 48 so that they can try and grandstand on social media. That is irresponsible. Every day that delays the passage of Bill 48 is another day in which methamphetamine use is allowed to cause more chaos in our community. It's simply not right, but it's not surprising. It shows how far the Progressive Conservative Party has fallen. They used to be about law and order. We are doing a far better job than they ever did on crime, and so they're left to campaign on all sorts of other issues, trying to divide you and distract you. So here's the thing. Yes, people distributing...
Member's time has expired. The Honourable Member for Brandon West.
The Premier has had a lot to say on the notwithstanding clause recently, but unfortunately for him, his words are captured and answered, so he can't pivot and dodge the important questions. He describes this important component of our Constitution as wrong. He's gone to great lengths to oppose the very existence of Section 33. Simple question for the Premier. Does he support using the notwithstanding clause to ensure children are protected from predators?
The Honourable First Minister.
The members opposite should support Bill 50. It strengthens the use of Section 33 here within Canada. Right. Now, we know that it's very clear that people who create and distribute child sexual abuse images need to be brought to justice. You hear that? That's the member for Fort White heckling while I am condemning the creators and distributors of child sexual abuse imagery. Again, the members opposite ought to pass Bill 50 into law so that we can strengthen the Section 33 framework here in Canada. Yep. But at the same time that they heckle, that they work up theme days, which are already one media cycle behind, they neglect to point out that Bill 48 would help keep streets safer because of meth use. What does the member have to say to people in Brandon who are seeing meth use spill out onto the sidewalks there, and who have seen a sobering center created under our government that will now have more enforcement capabilities? Why are they delaying Bill 48?
That's right.
The Honourable Member for Brandon West on a supplementary question.
Calling a 1-year minimum for those who prey on children is a violation of the Charter protection against cruel and unusual protection, and it's an insult to every Canadian, especially the victims. Our leader has called on the Prime Minister to immediately restore those protections, even if it requires the use of the notwithstanding clause. Will this Premier finally reverse his stance and start protecting children, or will he continue to stand with the predators?
The Honourable First Minister.
The people who create and distribute child sexual abuse images need to be taken off the streets, need to be held accountable, and there should be mandatory minimums, probably way beyond 1 year. But methamphetamine use is something that we also need to take action on. The members opposite have it within their ability today to pass Bill 48 so that we can take people wilding out on the streets right now off of the streets, so that they're not going to harm students walking home from school, so that they're not going to harm grandparents who are going shopping for groceries, so that they're not going to harm themselves. We can do multiple things at once, and yet the PCs appear incapable of even keeping their eye on one single thing, which is your safety. We'll never abandon that. We're going to continue having your back. They should pass both Bill 50 and Bill 48 today because it advances your safety on every issue before the House this question period.
The honourable member for Brandon West on a final supplementary question.
It's typical of this Premier to not answer the question and turn the channel when we're talking about the protection of children in our community. History will show that this Premier stands in the dubious company of his failure to stand up for children. These are real predators, perverts and pedophiles, not hypotheticals that the NDP and their allies are talking about. I will stand up for the protection of children every single day in this chamber and in the community. It's the right thing to do. Will this Premier finally admit that he was wrong and the notwithstanding clause is needed to protect children from these predators?
The Honourable First Minister.
People who create and distribute child sexual abuse images need to be taken off the street, need to be held accountable, and should be buried under the prison. Now, the reason, Honourable Speaker, that we say child sexual abuse images is because it reflects the gravity of these heinous crimes being committed. There's a criminal defense lawyer heckling me in question period right now. I'd ask you call him to order if he continues. He's trying, of course, to defend hypothetical clients. It's wrong. We are bringing the hammer down on people who harm children in our community. But we also think we need to hold people who are acting out on meth use accountable as well. And meanwhile, the PCs are playing games. So when they do their social media clips this week, perhaps they will include a reference to the fact that they are allowing meth use to run rampant. Bill 48 should pass right now. If not, we will give them plenty of time in the weeks to come to join us in supporting Bill 48.
The honourable member for Agassiz.
This isn't the first time the Premier has failed to act to protect young Manitobans. This spring, I raised concerns that came in from a mother in my constituency who lives in constant fear after a homeowner released footage of thugs thieving from a farmyard. This Premier did nothing then and has still done nothing. Why is he all talk and no action, Honourable Speaker?
The Honourable First Minister.
You know, if you go to Gladstone, if you go to Carberry, if you go to Sandy Bay, people will tell you they don't like meth. They don't like the damage that it's having on our families, and they absolutely hate the violence that it's creating in our communities. That's why this member should break ranks with the do-nothing opposition and support Bill 48 today. There is no substantive reason to oppose this bill. The chiefs of police support it. Municipal leaders support it. People in the community who are impacted directly by meth use support it. They say, get these folks off of the streets who are wilding out and get them into treatment, get them into health care, get them on the right path. That's exactly what Bill 48 does. In the next set of questions, I want to hear an answer as to why the PCs don't support this. Yeah.
The honourable member for Agassiz on a supplementary question.
Something I do know Manitobans are looking for, and that is answers, Honourable Speaker. It's even worse when it comes to this terrible ruling. The Premier has abandoned any semblance of leadership and stands behind his words from last week. The notwithstanding clause could set the record straight with the legal system and reaffirm that the rights of children come before the rights of predators. But he won't do that because, like the Supreme Court, he chooses to talk about hypotheticals instead of reality. He won't actually hire police officers to enforce the law. He won't act when the courts are wrong. Will the Minister of Families stand with the Premier, or will the Minister of Families stand up for vulnerable children?
Member's time has expired. The Honourable First Minister.
People who create and distribute child sexual abuse images and videos need to be held accountable. They deserve to be punished to the full extent of the law, and absolutely we say that 1 year is not enough of a minimum. When it comes to policing, under the members opposite, 55 police positions were cut. Yeah. We've added 36 back, and we're going to keep adding more law enforcement. We're also giving law enforcement more powers. One of the things that police officers across the province have asked for is more powers when it comes to meth use. That's why we brought forward Bill 48, so that police officers don't have to babysit people in an emergency room and they can get back out on the streets chasing down bad guys. The member from Agassiz ought to let us know what's wrong with that. Why does she prefer chaos in the emergency rooms instead of police officers tackling thugs?
That's right.
The honourable member for Agassiz on a final supplementary question.
This NDP government has every opportunity to get on board with Canadians to make it clear that some things are universally wrong. This Premier's refusal to stand up for young, vulnerable Manitobans poses the question, why is the Premier and the Minister of Family siding with predators instead of joining the call to safeguard children in Manitoba?
The Honourable First Minister.
People who create child sexual abuse images have no place in our society. They need to be held fully accountable, and this decision by the Supreme Court is clearly a mistake. When it comes to the members opposite, all due respect to Vic Taves, they are either siding with the people wilding out on mess on the streets, or they're going to side with us on Bill 48. For right now, it appears that they want to see continued chaos on the street corner. They want chaos in the emergency room. They want chaos of people breaking into homes and selling things to fuel drug addiction. We're saying that's wrong and it needs to stop now. That's why we want Bill 48 to pass today. What is the point behind their objection? Does anyone on the opposite side have a point to make against Bill 48?
Order.
The leader of the opposition is saying the problem is with me. Well, if the issue is with me, I will leave the House during the vote and you can vote with my colleagues.
Yeah.
The point is this. Pass Bill 48 today.
That's right.
The honourable member for Lac du Bonny.
Honourable Speaker, leaders across this country are calling the Supreme Court ruling on child pornography outrageous and disgusting. I'd like to ask the Education and Early Childhood Learning Minister today, does she agree?
The Honourable First Minister.
Yeah, it is disgusting. And I think any Canadian with a beating heart looks at decisions like this and thinks, what are they thinking? Of course, people who create child sexual abuse images deserve to be held accountable. They need to be taken out of the community, and 1 year is not enough. But when it comes to the members opposite, such as the member for Lac du Bonny, we know that they are in here playing games. When we're talking about protecting children, for sure. But when it comes to protecting you and the community from meth use, where are they to be seen? Absolutely silent. In fact, they want to play games. They want to prevent the passage of Bill 48. So if they want to dodge their responsibility to protect you, the people of Manitoba, we'll put the heat on them. There's supposed to be a prorogation later this week. I have to sign it. I will not sign it if Bill 48 doesn't pass. We need to put this tool in the hands of our medical professionals and law enforcement to keep you safe. Will the member for Lac du Bonny ask why they oppose?
Time has expired. The honourable member for Lac du Bonny on a supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, today we see, Manitobans, you see, the king of grandstanding will not even allow his ministers to get up and answer a simple question. Honourable Speaker, courts already examined the constitutionality of legislation under Section 1, the Reasonable Limits Clause. Bill 50's mandatory reference would simply duplicate this existing judicial scrutiny. Will the Education and Early Childhood Learning Minister go back to her cabinet colleagues and squash Bill 50 today, Honourable Speaker?
The Honourable First Minister.
The people who create and distribute child sexual abuse images are folks who need to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law and taken off of the streets. When we're talking about Section 1, we know that this applies equally to Bill 50 as it does to Bill 48. When we're talking about children being kept safe in the community, we know that it applies just as much as Bill 50 as it does to Bill 48. Bill 50 will ensure that rights are being respected while ensuring that you have the final say when you go to vote. Bill 48 will say that people who are acting out and wilding out on meth use will be taken off the street. Yeah, we'll get them help, but most importantly, we're going to keep you safe. The member for Lac de Bonnie ought to tell us today, what is he going to tell people in Beausejour as to why he is blocking law enforcement from having the ability to take meth addicts off the street? Is it because he wants folks to be in the ER instead wilding out? Is it because he opposes more power for law enforcement?
Member's time has expired. The honourable member for Lac de Bonnie on a final supplementary question.
Well, you would think with all the heckling coming across from the Minister for Housing that she might get up and answer a question, but she can't because this Premier is busy once again being more showman than statesman, more of the grandstanding that he continues. Honourable Speaker, Bill 50, we know, puts children at risk. And this Premier's poorly thought out, many times, many people have actually said, arrogant legislation, Honourable Speaker, is putting kids at risk. Will the Premier and his front bench cabinet ministers squash Bill 50 today?
The Honourable First Minister.
When people who create child sexual abuse images and videos face justice, we need to throw the book at them. Throw away the key, melt the key, you name it. The members opposite, however, have the opportunity not only to strengthen the protections for you, the people of Manitoba, by supporting Bill 50, they also have the ability with Bill 48 to make our streets safer for meth use. Supported by the chiefs of police, supported by local leadership, supported by people with lived experience and people who want to get help. This is an opportunity to bring the hammer down on meth use. And yet, what do the members opposite do? Do they stand up and give law enforcement more resources? No, they cut policing when they were in office. Do they stand up and give more powers to the police officers? No, they buried them in red tape. Today, will they finally get to work, pass one bill to make people safe? It's Bill 48. Let's get meth off our streets.
The time has expired. The honourable member for Roblin.
The median ER wait time across Winnipeg has hit a new all-time high at over 4 hours. Wait times at every single ER and urgent care centre in Winnipeg are higher than they were a year ago. The NDP ran an election entirely on healthcare. They promised they had all the answers. But 2 years in, healthcare is measurably worse under the NDP. Will the Minister of Health finally take some responsibility for this failure and explain why, under their watch, Manitobans are now waiting longer than ever to see a doctor?
Great question.
The Honourable First Minister.
You know, I want to take this opportunity to say great job to our Minister of Health, who has added 3,400 new frontline healthcare staff to our healthcare system. That same Minister of Health has also added, get this, Honourable Speaker, 323 new staffed beds in our healthcare system, including 10 new ICU beds. We are repairing the damage caused by the PCs. We still have some ways to go because of how deep that hole is that they dug us. But what I want the member opposite to answer now is, what is she going to say on the doorstep in Charleswood? People who see the ravages of methamphetamine addiction and then hear that this member opposite at second reading supported Bill 48, but then tried to play games and block it from passage before the end of this session. Again, she hears the chirping from right next to her, but will she be able to look people in Charleswood dead in the eyes and say, yeah, I blocked action on meth?
Time has expired. The honourable member for Roblin on a supplementary question.
Nothing the Premier is saying explains why ER wait times have only climbed under his watch, Honourable Speaker. The numbers don't lie. In fact, the NDP are setting all kinds of records in healthcare. The 90th percentile wait time in the WRHA is up to a staggering 10.3 hours. That's a 35% jump since they formed government. The number of patients who've left the ER without being seen has jumped by 39% since they formed government. If the NDP can't seem to figure out how to keep their election promises, can the minister stand today and promise Manitobans that at the very least they'll stop making the problem worse?
The Honourable First Minister.
So I would like the member opposite to acknowledge that more staff on the front lines is a good thing. Yeah. I'd like her to acknowledge that more beds repairing some of the damage that she and her colleagues caused is a good thing. And when she asked for what is causing the issues in ERs, well, I would say staffing shortages that we inherited from the PCs and a bed shortage created by the closure of emergency rooms is followed shortly thereafter by people in the ERs who are high on meth. Well, guess what? We've got a solution, not just for the staffing and for the bed cuts, but we've got a solution for getting people high on meth out of the emergency room. It's called Bill 48. It will make life safer for people in Charleswood. It is being demanded by people in Headingley. The only thing standing in the way of putting this new tool in the hands of law enforcement is the member for your area and the PC opposition. These members have no substantive objection to the bill. No surprise.
Member's time has expired. The honourable member for Roblin on a final supplementary question.
Once again, we see the Premier standing here today and promising Manitobans that he has all the answers to fix healthcare in Manitoba. Has he learned nothing? Over the last 2 years, healthcare has only gotten worse under his watch. The Health Sciences Centre is now making national news for all the wrong reasons. Nurses told CTV News that the situation in the HSC-ER is completely untenable and described scenes of chaos and violence. One nurse said, quote, "We have been as lucky as winning the lottery every week that people don't die while they are waiting. Wow. It's completely unacceptable. It's embarrassing that this is the healthcare system," unquote. Things are not getting better. They are getting worse. Why is it that under the NDP, wait times in our ERs only continue to climb?
The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, here's what's getting better in healthcare. There are 3,400 more staff, 323 new hospital beds, 141 new personal care home beds right across the province of Manitoba. But again, for those of us who've actually visited the Health Sciences Centre ER and not just read about it on CTV, we would hear from staff that not only do we need more beds, we need more staff, we also need to do something about meth. If the PC health critic is serious about having progress in the ERs, she will argue to her leader that they need to pass Bill 48 today. Right now, we are using the ER wait times because of the terrible work that the PCs did. We are using that as a holding pen for people high on meth. We're saying instead they should be going to a sobering centre under the auspices of Bill 48. If they want healthcare to improve, if they want the communities to be safer, if they want you to feel better, they will pass.
Time has expired. The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park.
Honourable Speaker, despite campaign promises, the provincial government continues to put increasing pressure on nurses for longer and more consecutive shifts. This is on top of having increased violence and stress in the workplace. The Manitoba Nurses Union reported in 2023 that for every 100 nurses under 35 years of age who entered the workforce, that 40 leave the profession. This is the highest in the country and unfortunately does not speak well of Manitoba. Other provinces, BC for example, are not only able to train their nurses, but they're able to retain them. What is this minister's plan specifically for retaining nurses here in Manitoba?
The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, it's important to understand that with the numbers that are being cited here, they refer to when the PCs were in office. What we have seen since we've taken offices under the leadership of this wonderful health minister is of those 3,400 net new healthcare workers, 1,200 net new nurses. So we're not only retaining, we're recruiting, we're adding, and they're staying. But when you talk to nurses who work in the ERs here in the city, who work in ERs across the province, they will tell you we need to take action on addictions. I'm sure the member for Tyndall Park knows this. That's why it's so critical that Bill 48 passes today. We need this to help the folks in healthcare. We need this to help law enforcement. We need this bill to pass to help you, everyone who drives down Main Street and doesn't feel the same pride that we should. Let's work together. That's what we're saying. We're reaching out with a warm and hearty handshake to the member for Tyndall Park. The only thing blocking us, as usual, is the do-nothing Progressive Conservatives.
The honourable member for Tyndall Park.
Honourable Speaker, MNU reports that nursing vacancies are currently 21% higher than they were during the pandemic. The number of Manitoba graduates starting practice in the province last year under the NDP totaled only 70. This is a continued decline, 20% in fact, since 2021. Staffing levels are key for reliable and safe healthcare, and it is awful that in Manitoba it is normalized to be understaffed, overworked, and commonly faced with aggression and assault. Does the minister believe that these working conditions are factoring into why we have less students studying nursing now than we did back in 2021?
The Honourable First Minister.
Nurse vacancy rates are improving everywhere in Manitoba thanks to our wonderful health minister. Now, when we're talking about Bill 48, this is something that has to pass right now. That's right. Why would we want to see more people along boroughs acting out on meth? Why would we want more people breaking into businesses along McPhillips? Why would we want more homeowners in Tyndall Park worried about their kids walking home from school because of the ravages of methamphetamine addiction? The same is true in Beausejour. The same is true in White Ridge, and yet the members continue to block on the PC side. I'm sure that the Liberal member is, of course, willing to do the right thing and pass Bill 48 today. It is important for every Manitoban to understand that law enforcement, community, business, government, all levels have come together with a plan to tackle meth use. It is embodied in Bill 48. Shame on the PCs for delaying this legislation. Shame on the PCs for doing nothing during 2 terms. And shame on the
time
PCs
has expired. The honourable member for Tyndall Park on a final supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, I have heard from my constituents, and unless new information comes to light, I will be supporting Bill 48. A report by Doctors Manitoba suggests retirements, burnout, and out-of-province migration contribute to the ongoing decline of doctors, with many seeking the greener pastures of BC and Alberta. We need 246 additional doctors to meet the national average. Yet currently, 710 physicians here in Manitoba are considering reducing their hours, retiring, or leaving the province in the next 3 years. Honourable Speaker, for the 710 physicians considering leaving Manitoba, what reason is this government giving them to stay?
The Honourable First Minister.
We listen to you. Bill 48 is supported by the experts in addictions medicine who are physicians in Manitoba. That is an example of people bringing forward an idea from the front lines and government not only enacting the legislation, but also creating the facilities for these addictions medicine experts to deliver the care that they want to see happen. So again, it is important for us to keep an eye on the things that Doctors Manitoba is bringing forward, and these are things that we're going to have to watch with interest and work really hard on. But the important news is that so far, we've added some 200 physicians here in Manitoba since we've taken office. Now we are setting our sights on tackling meth addiction in the streets. This is something that everybody wants to see progress on, except the PCs. Why is it that the PCs supported Bill 48 at second reading and now try to block it? Right, that's the point. There is no reason. They are causing chaos. It's going to spill out onto the streets, and everything that happens...
Time has expired. The Honourable Member for Tuxedo.
Honourable Speaker, the previous PC government under Heather Stephenson closed hundreds of beds in our healthcare system. This, along with firing hundreds of staff, was a key step in dismantling healthcare in Manitoba. But our government is undoing that damage. We are building emergency rooms, hiring staff, and opening beds. While there's still much work to be done, we can say confidently that we are moving in the right direction and reversing the cuts made by the Stephenson PCs. Can the Minister of Health please give the House an update on rebuilding the beds that were cut under the previous government.
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Thank my colleague for that wonderful question. We know it's easier to cut a bed than it is to add a bed, Honourable Speaker, but that hasn't stopped our government from doing the work. I was proud to stand today with the Premier and the MLA for St. Boniface to announce that since taking office, we've opened 323 new beds here in Manitoba. And that includes 10 new ICU beds. That's along with our over 3,400 net new healthcare workers. Honourable Speaker, what we need to see happen now is tackling the meth addiction in our province. The PCs need to get on side with Manitobans and pass Bill 48. Will they get out of the way and pass that bill so we can strengthen healthcare?
The time for oral questions has expired. The Honourable Member for La-Vérendrye.
On a point of order.
The Honourable Member for La-Vérendrye on a point of order.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Well, today in the Premier's show of question period, the member for Fort Rouge once again operated outside of the rules of this chamber. He refused to address comments through the chair and regularly made inaccurate statements directed across the way. He then broke the ancient tradition and stood in his place and told you, Honourable Speaker, who to call to order and when, criticizing your performance and your duties. Additionally, the Premier, on multiple occasions, kept talking after his expired time because obviously 15 seconds extra for the Premier just isn't enough. These rules exist for a reason, Honourable Speaker, and the Premier needs to operate within the same rules as everyone else in this esteemed chamber. Thank you.
Before recognizing any other members to speak on the point of order, I'd remind all members to make sure their comments are relevant to the point of order. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Miigwech, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, Manitobans don't like the PCs. They just don't. And the reason why is that day in and day out, the PCs get up and show that they are willing to collect their $100,000 plus salary and waste time in this chamber that we are all so lucky and privileged to be in. Day in and day out, they get up, they block important
Order,
bills.
please. I'd ask the Honourable Government House Leader to keep her remarks pertinent to the point of order. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Again, Honourable Speaker, Manitobans don't like the PCs, and they've shown again why. They continue to waste people's time, including with this fictitious point of order. Members
Order,
opposite,
please. I would remind all members during a point of order or matter of privilege, they should be sitting quietly so that the Speaker can actually hear what's being said. The Honourable Government House Leader.
day in and day out, the PCs continue to distract from really their failed record, even their failed record as an opposition. They are so incapable of even being an effective opposition. All they need to do is distract.
Order, please. The Honourable Government House Leader once again needs to keep her comments germane to the point of order. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Honourable Speaker, again, the fictitious point of order that the member got up in the chamber just now to waste more time. They are so obsessed with what the Premier does in this chamber, which has been proven time and time again, allowed for him to be able to do that. I would ask members to stop wasting time, pass Bill 48, and let's get on with the business of the House that we're all elected to do.
Order, please. So I would point out that the honourable member for La-Vérendrye does not have a point of order. And I would point out to all members in this chamber, it is not their job to try and tell the speaker how to do the speaker's job. And that's been happening with great regularity, and it needs to stop. So it is not a point of order. Now, let's move on. Petitions. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I wish to present the following petition. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba.
Order, please. If I could interrupt the member, and I'll allow him to restart his petition. There's some guests in the gallery that I should introduce before they have to leave. Draw attention of all honourable members to the public gallery where we have with us today Candace Narth, Theo Narth, Nash Narth, who are guests of the honourable member for La-Vérendrye. And on behalf of all honourable members, we welcome you here today. Further, I'd like to draw the attention of all honourable members to the public gallery where we have with us today Sirat Karbrar, Gursharwan Singh Brar, and Maya Kapoor, who are guests of the honourable member for McPhillips, and we welcome you here today as well. Back to petitions, the honourable member, or the honourable leader of the official opposition.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I'll start again. Honourable Speaker, I'd like to present the following petition. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number one, Kelly Verway, a beloved young woman from Portage La Prairie, Manitoba, was tragically killed in a car crash caused by a repeat violent offender with a long criminal history. Despite repeated violations, number two. Despite repeated violations of his bail conditions, the offender was free to roam the streets and to ultimately claim Kelly's life. This tragedy was entirely preventable. Number three, while the criminal code falls under federal jurisdiction, provinces have been given the responsibility for the administration of justice, allowing for meaningful provincial action on bail reform to ensure public safety. Number four, other provinces have taken proactive steps to strengthen bail enforcement, but Manitoba has not used all the available tools to address this issue effectively. Number five, the provincial government has the ability and the responsibility to advocate for and implement measures that protect its citizens by ensuring that repeat violent offenders are not released into our communities without proper safeguards. Number six, immediate action is required to close gaps in the justice system that allow dangerous criminals to remain free, which puts innocent Manitobans at risk. The provincial government has the ability and the responsibility to advocate for and implement measures that protect its citizens by ensuring that repeat violent offenders are not released into our communities without proper safeguards. Number 6, immediate action is required to close gaps in the justice system that allow dangerous criminals to remain free, which puts innocent Manitobans at risk. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, we petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to take immediate and decisive action on bail reform to address serious deficits in enforcement by utilizing all available provincial mechanisms to strengthen warrant enforcement, increasing bail, supervision, and opposing release of offenders, thus ensuring that repeat violent offenders are held accountable and that public safety is prioritized over leniency. And number 2, to urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to immediately repeal provisions of the criminal code that allow for the continued victimization of law-abiding Manitobans while granting repeat offenders additional rights. Honorable Deputy Speaker, this petition was signed by many Manitobans, and some of them are Shelley Broker, Erica Stice, Meredith Fotheringham, and many, many other Manitobans.
The honourable member for Brandon West.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background of this petition is as follows. Number 1, Kelly Verway, a beloved young woman from Portage-la Prairie, Manitoba, was tragically killed in a car crash caused by a repeat violent offender with a long criminal history. Number 2, despite repeated violations of his bail conditions, the offender was free to roam the streets to ultimately claim Kelly's life. This tragedy was entirely preventable. Number 3, while the criminal code falls under federal jurisdiction, provinces have been given the responsibility for the administration of justice, allowing for meaningful provincial action on bail reform to ensure public safety. Number 4, other provinces have taken proactive steps to strengthen bail enforcement. But Manitoba has not used all available tools to address this issue effectively. Number 5, the provincial government has the ability and responsibility to advocate for and implement measures that protect its citizens by ensuring that repeat violent offenders are not released into our communities without proper safeguards. Number 6, immediate action is required to close gaps in the justice system that allow dangerous criminals to remain free, which puts innocent Manitobans at risk. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to take immediate and decisive action on bail reform to address serious deficits in enforcement by utilizing all available provincial mechanisms to strengthen warrant enforcement, increasing bail supervision, and opposing release of offenders, thus ensuring that repeat violent offenders are held accountable and that the public safety is prioritized over leniency. And number 2, to urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to immediately repeal provisions of the criminal code that allow for the continued victimization of law-abiding Manitobans while granting repeat offenders additional rights. Honorable Deputy Speaker, this petition was signed by Murray Shamrod, Rose Campbell, Jack Telenez, and many, many other fine Manitobans.
The honourable member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition. The background of this petition is as follows. Thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Portage Regional Health Facility is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of an MRI machine. Number 2, an MRI machine is a non-invasive medical imaging technique that uses a magnetic field and computer-generated radio waves to create detailed images of organs and tissues in the human body. It is used for disease detection, diagnosis, and treatment monitoring. Number 3, Portage La Prairie is centrally located in Manitoba and is on number 1 highway in the Southern Health Santé Sud Health Authority. Currently, there is only one MRI machine in the RHA. Number 4, an MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will reduce transportation costs for patients as well as reduce the burden on stretcher service and ambulance use. It will bring care closer to home and reduce wait times for MRI scans across the province. Number 5, located around Portage La Prairie are the Dakota Teepee, Dakota Plains, Sandy Bay, and Long Plains First Nations reserves. Indigenous people in Canada disproportionately face barriers in access to services and medical care. An MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will bring care closer to their home communities and provide greater access to diagnostic testing. Number 6, located in the close proximity to the new Portage Regional Health Facility is Southport Airport. The aerodrome has a runway length that is more than adequate to support medical air ambulance services. This would provide the opportunity to transport patients by air from more remote communities to access MRI imaging services. Number 7, the average wait time for Manitobans to receive an MRI scan is currently 6 to 8 months. Having an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility will help reduce these wait times for patients and provide better care sooner. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility in Portage La Prairie, Manitoba. This is signed by Jonas Johnson, Patricia Latondra, Susan Wilson, and many, many more Manitobans. Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Miigwech, Deputy
On
Speaker.
House business. On House business.
On House business. Honourable Deputy Speaker, can you please canvass the House for leave to not see the clock to complete all stages, including report stage amendments, concurrence and third reading for Bill 48, the Protective Detention and Care of Intoxicated Persons Act?
Is there leave to not see the clock for concurrence, third reading, and report stage amendments for today for Bill 48? No. I hear a no. Leave is denied. The Honourable Member for Agassiz.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, Children with disabilities often require childcare beyond the age of 12. Children with disabilities aged 12 to 17 face a gap in publicly available care programs. Number 2, the current adolescent care service model creates undue hardship on caregivers. Number 3, while developing children may be entering into extracurricular activities, school clubs, or spending time with friends independently, children with disabilities have reduced opportunities for such social and recreational opportunities due to the lack of spaces. Number 4, the current self-managed adolescent care models place additional workloads onto already stressed families, requiring parents to seek all alternative options and prove their need for care. Number 5, the current adolescent care system, as part of overall respite and support available to families, is failing families of children with disabilities, as identified in the Manitoba Advocate for Children and Youth's Bridging the Gaps report. Number 6, to date, none of the 9 recommendations it contains have been completed beyond 50%. Number 7, the recommendations in this report touch on many of the issues facing families, with adolescent care being but a small component of their overall needs. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to fully implement recommendations in the Bridging the Gaps report. Number 2, to urge the provincial government to immediately implement official policies and procedures that are more respectful and collaborative, which also minimize harm faced by families seeking help from Children's Disability Services. Number 3, to urge the Minister of Families to arrange for a full review of employment supports provided by Children's Disability Services for children with disabilities aged 12 to 17, including direct consultation with impacted families, and to explore a full spectrum of options to support families, empowering them to choose solutions that best fit their needs. This petition has been signed by Christine Juncker, Lawrence Laurier, and Mitchell Rockland, and many, many more Manitobans. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Deputy.
The Honourable Member for Roblin.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. And I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Highway 1 through the RM of Headingley is increasingly busy with vehicular traffic. As a major truck and transportation route that runs through both commercial and residential areas, safety is of paramount importance. Number 2, there are many local businesses and homes in this area, meaning that motorists must safely share the roadway with cyclists and pedestrians. Number 3, the stretch of Highway 1 westbound from Dodds Road to Bobiche Street does not have a service road, nor does it have a shoulder. Instead, Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure has recently installed a curb on this stretch, which is unique compared to the rest of Highway 1 through Headingley. Number 4, The department's decision to forego a shoulder or turning lane forces cyclists and pedestrians onto the actual lane of traffic, presenting a serious safety hazard. Number 5, residents have reported challenges safely navigating this stretch of highway while cycling or walking to nearby homes and businesses. Some residents fear that it is only a matter of time until a pedestrian or cyclist is seriously injured or killed. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to install a sidewalk or shoulder with a turning lane to facilitate safe pedestrian and cyclist traffic along Highway 1 westbound from Dodds Road to Bobiche Street. And this petition is signed by Sheila Bertram, Leon Wochuk, Ken Schultz, and many, many other Manitobans.
The honourable member for Lac du Bonnet.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly, and the background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, the federal government has mandated a consumption-based carbon tax with the stated goal of financially pressuring Canadians to make decisions to reduce their carbon emissions. Number 2, Manitoba Hydro estimates that even with a high-efficiency furnace, the carbon tax is costing the average family over $200 annually, even more for those with older furnaces. Number 3, home heating in Manitoba is not a choice or a decision for Manitobans to make. It is a necessity of life. With an average of almost 200 days below 0 degrees Celsius annually. Number 4, the federal government has selectively removed the carbon tax off of home heating oil in the Atlantic provinces of Canada, but has indicated they have no intention to provide the same relief to Manitobans heating their homes. Number 5, Manitoba Hydro indicates that natural gas heating is one of the most affordable options available to Manitobans, and it can be cost prohibitive for households to replace their heating source. Number 6, premiers across Canada, including in the Atlantic provinces that benefit from this decision, have collectively sent a letter to the federal government calling on it to extend the carbon tax exemption to all forms of home heating, with the exception of Manitoba. Number 7, Manitoba is one of the only provincial jurisdictions to have not agreed with the stance that all Canadians' home heating bills should be exempt from the carbon tax. Number 8, provincial leadership in other jurisdictions have already committed to removing the federal carbon tax from home heating bills. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to remove the federal carbon tax on home heating bills for all Manitobans to provide them much needed relief. Honourable Deputy Speaker, this petition is signed by Melissa Wallman, Kendra Olson, Brendan Schmidtke, and many, many more fine Manitobans.
The honourable member for Steinbach.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba, and the background to this petition is as follows. 1, thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan. Construction for the new Portage Regional Health Facility is well underway. The facility and the surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of an MRI machine. 2, an MRI machine is a non-invasive medical imaging technique that uses a magnetic field and computer-generated radio waves to create detailed images of organs and tissues in the human body. It is used for disease detection, diagnosis, and treatment monitoring. 3, Portage-la-Prairie is centrally located in Manitoba and is on the #1 highway in the Southern Health Santé Sud Health Authority. Currently, there is only one MRI machine in the RHA. 4, an MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will reduce transportation costs for patients, as well as reduce the burden on stretcher service and ambulance use. It will bring care closer to home and reduce wait times for MRI scans across the province. 5, located around Portage-la-Prairie are the Dakota Teepee, Dakota Plains, Sandy Bay, and Long Plains First Nations reserves. Indigenous peoples in Canada disproportionately face barriers in access to services and medical care. An MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will bring care closer to their home communities and provide greater access to diagnostic testing. 6, located in close proximity to the new Portage Regional Health Facility is the Southport Airport. This aerodrome has a runway length that is more than adequate to support medical air ambulance services. This would provide the opportunity to transport patients by air from more remote communities to access MRI imaging services. 7, the average wait times for Manitobans to receive an MRI scan is currently 6 to 8 months. Having an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility will help reduce these wait times for patients and provide better care sooner. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility in Portage-la-Prairie, Manitoba. And Honorable Deputy Speaker, this petition is signed by Kenneth Allen Clarkson, Bruce Vernon Brown, Helena Cott, and many other fine Manitobans. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Borderland.
Honourable Speaker, I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. These are the reasons for this petition. Number 1, persons struggling with mental health is their sole condition. may access medical assistance in dying unless Parliament intervenes. Number 2, suicidality is often a symptom of mental illness, and suicide is the second leading cause of death for Canadians between the age of 10 and 19. Number 3, there have been reports of the unsolicited introduction of medical assistance in dying to non-seeking persons, including Canadian veterans, as a solution for their medical and mental health issues. Number 4, legal and medical experts are deeply concerned that permitting Canadians suffering from depression and other mental illnesses to access euthanasia would undermine suicide prevention efforts and risk normalizing suicide as a solution for those suffering from mental illness. Number 5, the federal government is bound by the Charter of Rights and Freedoms to advance and protect the life, liberty, and security of its citizens. Number 6, Manitobans consider it a priority to ensure that adequate supports are in place for the mental health of all Canadians. Number 7, vulnerable Manitobans must be given suicide prevention counseling instead of suicide assistance. And number 8, the federal government should focus on increasing mental health supports to provinces and improve access to these supports instead of offering medical assistance in dying for those with mental illness. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to stop the expansion of medical assistance in dying to those for whom mental illness is the sole condition. And number 2, to urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to protect Canadians struggling with mental illness by facilitating treatment, recovery, and medical assistance in living, not death. This petition has been signed by many, many Manitobans.
The Honourable Member for Morden Winkler.
Honourable Speaker, I wish to present the following petition. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background of this petition is as follows. Number 1, the province of Manitoba has filed paperwork with the federal government proposing the establishment of a drug injection site for illegal drugs at 200 Disraeli Freeway without sufficient public consultation. Number 2, the decision to locate the facility at 200 Disraeli was made despite that the site is located in the immediate vicinity of a daycare center, a high school, and multiple community gathering sites, including churches and cultural institutions. Number 3, residents, business owners, and community organizations have raised concern that the location is incompatible with nearby institutions serving thousands of youths and families, and believes it will erode public safety and confidence in the area. Number 4, existing community consultations specifically ignored concerns about public safety and were criticized by community members for being artificial and scripted. Number 5, the provincial government has failed to introduce legislation and regulations to control where drug injection sites can be located. Number 6, other provinces are closing drug injection sites and adopting a recovery model following the expertise of groups such as the Canadian Centre for Recovery and Excellence. Number 7, this decision to ignore the experts will leave people suspended in addiction and will not give Manitobans their lives or their loved ones back. Number 8, the provincial government has failed to fund and operate any treatment or additional rapid access to addictions medicines clinics to break the cycle. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to cancel drug injection sites in the Point Douglas community, including the proposed location at 200 Disraeli Freeway. Number 2, to urge the provincial government to legislate that no further sites will be proposed without community support. This petition has been signed by Carl Bukamas, Dave Skopordia, and Rachel Lockhart, and many, many other Manitobans. Thank you.
The honourable member for Lakeside.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. And the background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, Kelly Verley, a beloved young woman from Portage-la Prairie, Manitoba, was tragically killed in a car crash caused by a repeat violent offender with a long criminal history. Number 2, despite repeated violations of his bail conditions, the offender was free to roam the streets and to ultimately claim Kelly's life. This tragedy was entirely preventable. Number 3, while the criminal code falls under federal jurisdiction, provinces have been given the responsibility for the administration of justice, allowing for meaningful provincial action on bail reform to ensure public safety. Number 4, other provinces have taken proactive steps to strengthen bail enforcement, but Manitoba has not used all the available tools to address this issue effectively. Number 5, the provincial government has the ability and the responsibility to advocate for and implement measures that protect its citizens by ensuring that repeat violent offenders are not released into our communities without proper safeguards. Number 6, immediate action is required to close gaps in the justice system that allow dangerous criminals to remain free, which puts innocent Manitobans at risk. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to take immediate and decisive action on bail reform to address serious deficits in enforcement by utilizing all available provincial mechanisms to strengthen warrant enforcement, increasing bail supervision, and opposing release of offenders, thus ensuring that repeat violent offenders are held accountable and that public safety is prioritized over leniency. And number 2, to urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to immediately repeal provisions of the criminal code that allow for the continued victimization of law-abiding Manitobans while granting repeat offenders additional rights. This petition has been signed by Carolyn Gee, Stacy Dreger, and Rodrigo Rodriguez, and many, many fine Manitobans. Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
The honourable member for Dawson Trail.
I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba, the background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, thanks to the investments made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Critical and Preventative Service Plan, construction for the new Portage Regional Health Facility is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of an MRI machine. An MRI machine is a non-invasive medical imaging technique that uses a magnetic field and computer-generated radio waves to create detailed images of organs and tissues in the human body. It is used for disease detection, diagnosis, and treatment monitoring. Number 3, the Portage La Prairie is centrally located in Manitoba and is on the number 1 highway in the Southern Health Santé Sud Health Authority. Currently, there is only one MRI machine in the RHA. Number 4, an MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will reduce transportation costs for patients, as well as reduce the burden on stretcher services and ambulance use. It will bring care closer to home and reduce wait times for MRI scans across the province. Number 5, located around Portage La Prairie are the Dakota Teepee, Dakota Plains, Sandy Bay, and Long Plains First Nations reserves. Indigenous peoples in Canada are disproportionately face barriers in access to services and medical care. An MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will bring care closer to their home communities and provide greater access to diagnostic testing. Number 6, located in close proximity to the new Portage Regional Health Facility is the Southport Airport. This aerodrome has a runway length that is more than adequate to support medical air ambulance services. This would provide the opportunity to transport patients by air from more remote communities to access MRI imaging services. Number 7, the average wait time for Manitobans to receive an MRI scan is currently 6 to 8 months. Having an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility will help reduce these wait times for patients and provide better care sooner. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility in Portage La Prairie, Manitoba. This petition has been signed by Gordon Campbell, Robert Tooley, Jim Irwin, and many, many other Manitobans.
The Honourable Member for La Vérendrye.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. 1. Provincial Road 210, PR 210, is a 117.3 kilometer, 72.8 mile highway in the Eastman region of Manitoba that connects the towns and communities of Woodridge, Marchand, LeBrokery, St. Anne, Landmark, Linden, Ile-des-Chênes, and St. Adolphe. 2. A significant portion of PR 210 also runs through the constituency of La Vérendrye. 3. PR 210 is a significant commuting route for Eastman families and is also notably used by those in the agriculture, tourism, trade, and commerce industries. 4, the condition of PR 210 from Woodridge to Highway 12 is in an unacceptable state of disrepair. 5, the planned pavement upgrade was promised more than 20 years ago when it was constructed with a flat surface suitable for pavement, but has yet to be completed. 6, the condition of PR 210 from Woodridge to Highway 12 is in such bad shape that firefighters, police, and paramedic services are severely delayed when responding to emergencies. 7, the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure, as well as the Premier, have a duty to respond to infrastructure needs identified by rural communities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. 1, to urge the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure to prioritize the reconstruction of Provincial Road 210. 2, to urge the provincial government to include the stretch of Provincial Road 210 from Woodridge to Highway 12 in its reconstruction plans. This petition has been signed by Katharina Sawatsky, Mitch Gobel, Patsy Penner, and many, many other Manitobans.
The Honourable Member for Rodney Mountain.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. 1, thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Portage Regional Health Facility is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of an MRI machine. 2, an MRI machine is a non-invasive medical imaging technique that uses a magnetic field and computer-generated radio waves to create detailed images of organs and tissues in the human body. It is used for disease detection, diagnosis, and treatment monitoring. 3, Portage La Prairie is centrally located in Manitoba. It is on the #1 highway in the Southern Health Santé Sud Health Authority. Currently, there is only one MRI machine in the RHA. 4, an MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will reduce transportation costs for patients, as well as reduce the burden on stretcher service and ambulance use. It will bring care closer to home and reduce wait times for MRI scans across the province. 5, located around Portage La Prairie are the Dakota TP, Dakota Plains, Sandy Bay, and Long Plains First Nations reserves. Indigenous peoples in Canada disproportionately face barriers in access to services and medical care. An MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will bring care closer to their home communities and provide greater access to diagnostic testing. 6, located in close proximity to the new Portage Regional Health Facility is the Southport Airport. This aerodrome has a runway length that is more than adequate to support medical air ambulance services. This would provide the opportunity to transport patients by air from more remote communities to access MRI imaging services. 7, the average wait times for Manitobans to receive an MRI scan is currently 6 to 8 months. Having an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility will help reduce these wait times for patients and provide better care sooner. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility in Portage-La Prairie, Manitoba. Honourable Deputy Speaker, this petition has been signed by many Manitobans.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk. The Honourable Member for Selkirk.
Thank you and good afternoon, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, LaSalle is the largest urban center in the RM of Macdonald with a population of over 2,600. The community members are active in establishing facilities and infrastructure that will meet the needs of rapidly growing urban center. Number 2, LaSalle is one of Manitoba's fastest growing communities, having grown over 60% since 2016, and is an attractive place for commuters to work within the Winnipeg city limits. Number 3, Provincial Road 247 is frequently used by buses, parents, and new drivers as it is the fastest and most direct route for Sanford Collegiate students from LaSalle to get to and from school. Number 4, LaSalle and Provincial Road 247 can be dangerous to travel as it is located in a well-developed agricultural area, leading semi-trucks, large farm equipment, and machinery to use the narrow roadway. Number 5, most recently in 2020, 17-year-old Chloe Boyle lost her life traveling down the road to school, tragically losing control on the loose gravel. Previously, there were several collisions that occurred on Provincial Road 247, causing damages and non-fatal injuries. Number 6, due to the active nature of this roadway and it's needing more maintenance to deal with loose gravel and large potholes caused by the daily wear and tear by drivers and equipment, leading to dangerous driving conditions, especially in wintertime. Number 7, There are local online groups with over 2,000 members dedicated to inquiring about the roadway conditions of Provincial Road 247 and 330, posting consistently and asking for updates or sharing issues that are happening that may affect families and their young drivers. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number one, to urge the provincial government to assist in paving Provincial Road 247 to LaSalle from Manitoba Highway number 3. Number two, to urge the provincial government to ensure the safety of local residents and young drivers who use Provincial Road 247 from LaSalle so that they have a safe way to access education year-round. Honorable Deputy Speaker, this petition has been signed by Rick Rivers, Marcel Lemire, Megan Hoskins, and many fine Manitobans.
The Honourable Member for Turtle Mountain.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background of this petition is as follows. Number one, on Sunday, February 11th, 2024, Manitoba witnessed an unmanageable tragedy with 5 individuals were murdered. Number two, the victims ranged in ages from 2 months to 30 years. Number three, Manitoba has the second highest rate of intimate partners violence among Canadian provinces at a rate of 633 per 100,000 people, according to police reported data from Statistics Canada. Number four, public reporting indicates that on December 9th, 2023, Maya Lee left a voicemail to the Child and Family Services worker in which he pleaded to be moved out of her home in Carmen. Number five, Manitoba's advocate for children and youth noted, this case highlights the failure of the government to respond to our recommendations. Number six, on March 6, 2024, the Minister of Families and the MLA for St. John's indicated on the public record that she was too busy to discuss issues surrounding children in care, including calling a public inquiry into this unprecedented tragedy. Number seven, the last inquiry made in Manitoba was for the death of 5-year-old Phoenix Sinclair in 2008. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. To urge that Minister of Families to develop a better policies to protect youth in care from potential and physical and psychological abuse. Number two, to urge the provincial government to immediately establish a public inquiry to identify the failing of the child welfare system to ensure that no call from a child ever goes unanswered or ignored again. This has been signed by Chance Horn, Dwight Barry, and Jason Morton, and many, many more Manitobans.
The Honourable Member for Spruce Woods.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number one, Provincial Trunk Highway 34, PTH 34, is a 2-lane provincial primary highway that runs from the U.S. border where it meets the ND 20 to PTH 16 at the town of Gladstone. Number two, PTH 34 runs north-south in the south-central region of the province. It is the main highway for the towns of Crystal City, Pilot Mound, and Holland, serving as a main corridor for the semi-trailers, farm equipment, daily drivers, and local school bus routes. Number 3, a new bridge is currently being constructed over the Assiniboine River at PTH 34, north of Holland, in the RM of Victoria. The bridge serves as an important north-south link over the Assiniboine River between the Trans-Canada Highway and the PTH2. Number 4, the deterioration of the PTH 34 has raised major concerns due to its narrow shoulders and numerous deep potholes that pose serious safety risks, considering farmers often need to use the highway to transport heavy equipment. Number 5, construction of a new bridge in accordance with current design codes and the RTAC standard located on the PTH 34 crossing the Assiniboine River will support trade and commerce and improve public safety in the area, and also accommodate floods events on the Assiniboine River. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to address the conditions of Provincial Trunk Highway 34, making the necessary upgrades to RTAC standard and to resurface the road once the new bridge has been completed. This has been signed by Chris Kimball, Alex Guilford, and Stephanie Peterson, and many, many more Manitobans. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Red River North.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Portage Regional Health Facility is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of an MRI machine. Number 2, an MRI machine is a non-invasive medical imaging technique that uses a magnetic field and computer-generated radio waves to create detailed images of organs and tissues in the human body. It is used for disease detection, diagnosis, and treatment monitoring. Number 3, Portage La Prairie is centrally located in Manitoba and is on the Highway number 1 in the Southern Health Santa Sud Health Authority. Currently, there is only one MRI machine in the RHA. Number 4, an MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will reduce transportation costs for patients, as well as reduce the burden on stretcher services and ambulance use. It will bring care closer to home and reduce wait times for MRI scans across the province. Number 5, located around Portage La Prairie are the Dakota Teepee, Dakota Plains, Sandy Bay, and Long Plains First Nations reserves. Indigenous peoples in Canada disproportionately face barriers in access to services and medical care. An MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will bring care closer to their home communities and provide greater access to diagnostic testing. Number 6, located in close proximity to the new Portage Regional Health Facility is the Southport Airport. This aerodrome has a runway length that is more than adequate to support medical air ambulance services. This would provide the opportunity to transport patients by air from more remote communities to access MRI imaging services. Number 7, the average wait times for Manitobans to receive an MRI scan is currently 6 to 8 months. Having an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility will help reduce these wait times for patients and provide better care sooner. Honorable Deputy Speaker, we petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility in Portage La Prairie, Manitoba. Honorable Speaker, this petition is signed by Marjorie Muirhead, Betty Weir, Alice Godfrey, and many, many more Manitobans. Thank you.
The honourable member for Swan River.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. These are the reasons for this petition. Number one, upgrading Provincial Trunk Highway 45 will accelerate economic development, as it will enhance connectivity, facilitate efficient transportation, and promote economic growth in the region. Number two, economic development will be further enhanced as improved road infrastructure attracts businesses, encourages investment, and creates job opportunities. Number three, roads meeting the Roads and Transportation Association of Canada, RTAC, standards improve both safety and efficiency as they can handle heavier loads, reducing the number of trips required for goods transportation. Number four, safer roads further benefit both commuters and commercial vehicles, minimizing accidents and damage. Number five, upgrading to RTAC standards ensures resilience to challenges caused by climate change, such as thawing and flooding, which negatively impact road conditions. Number six, efficient transportation networks contribute to Manitoba's economic competitiveness, as upgraded roads support interprovincial and international goods movement, benefiting both trade and commerce. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure to take the necessary steps to upgrade Provincial Trunk Highway 45 from Russell to Provincial Trunk Highway 10 to meet RTAC standards. This petition has been signed by Raina Robinson, Nolan Robinson, Lane Robinson, and many, many other Manitobans. Thank you.
No further petitions, grievances. The orders of the day, government business, the Honourable the member for Steinbach.
I'll be quick, Honourable Speaker. I have two announcements for the House, and I propose to do them together. I'd like to announce that the Standing Committee on Public Accounts will meet on Monday, November 17th, 2025 at 4 p.m. to consider the following: the Auditor General's Investigations Report dated August 2021, Municipal Development Corporations Auditor General's Report, follow-up of previously issued recommendations dated February 2024, Investigations Report, Municipal Development Corporations, the Auditor General's Investigation Report, Manitoba Municipalities and the Department of Municipal and Northern Relations dated August 2025, Auditor General's Report, follow-up of previously issued Auditor recommendations dated April 2022, Rural Municipality of de Salaberry audit of financial irregularities. And the second announcement, I'd like to announce that the Standing Committee on Public Accounts will meet on Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. to consider the following: the Auditor General's report, Department of Education, Early Childhood Learning, leadership of the K-12 pandemic response dated 2022, Auditor General's report, follow-up of previously issued recommendations dated February 2025, Department of Education, Early Childhood Learning, leadership of the K-12 pandemic response.
It has been announced that the Standing Committee on Public Accounts will meet on Monday, November 17, 2025 at 4 p.m. to consider the following: Auditor General's investigations report dated August 2021, Municipal Development Corporations, Auditor General's report, follow-up of previously issued recommendations dated February 2024, investigations report, Municipal Development Corporations, Auditor General's investigation report, Manitoba Municipalities and the Department of Municipal and Northern Relations, dated August 2025. Auditor General's report, follow-up of previously issued audit recommendations, dated April 2022, Rural Municipality of de Salaberry audit of financial irregularities, and further that the Standing Committee on Public Accounts will meet on Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. to consider the following: the Auditor General's report, Department of Education and Early Childhood Learning, leadership of the K-12 pandemic response dated March 2022, and the Auditor General's report, follow-up of previously issued recommendations dated February 2025, Department of Education and Early Childhood Learning, leadership of the K-12 pandemic response. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Thank you much, Honourable Speaker. Can you please call report stage amendments for Bill 48, the Protective Detention and Care of Intoxicated Persons Act, followed by calling the start of concurrence and third reading of Bill 48, the Protective Detention and Care of Intoxicated Persons Act?
It has been announced that we will go to report stage amendments of Bill 48, the Protective Detention and Care of Intoxicated Persons Act, followed by Bill 48, Protective Detention and Care of Intoxicated Persons Act, followed by concurrence and third reading of Bill 48, the Protection, Detention and Care of Intoxicated Persons Act. So, as announced, we will now go to the report stage amendments. The Honourable Member for Portage-La Prairie.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I so move, seconded by the member from Morden Winkler, that Bill 48 be amended by adding the following after Clause 11. Operator must provide information to Minister. 11.1.1. The operator of a protective care centre must provide the following information for the previous year to the minister responsible for this act within 60 days after January 1st of each year. January 1 of each year. A, the number of persons who were detained in the protective care centre. B, the number of persons who were detained in the protective care centre more than once. C, aggregate non-identifying information relating to the person who were detained in the protective care centre, including sex, gender, and age. D, the number of serious injuries or deaths of detained persons that occurred in the protective care centre. E, the types of programs and services offered to detained persons during their detention or at any time of their release. F, the number of persons who were allowed to remain at the protective care centre to receive additional care or services under Section 10. 10. Minister must make annual report. 11.12. Within 3 months after the end of the government's fiscal year, the minister responsible for this act must prepare a report that sets out the information provided by each operator of a protective care center under subsection bracket 1. Tabling report 11.13. The minister responsible for this act must table a copy of the report under subsection 2 on any of the first 15 days on which the Assembly is sitting after the report is completed. Publication of report 11.14. The minister responsible for this act must make the report publicly available on a government website as soon as practicable after tabling the report in the Assembly. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
As there was a mistake made while the member was reading it, is there leave to consider the amendment as printed? Agreed, and so ordered. So, it was moved by the Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie, seconded by the Honourable Member for Morden Winkler, that the Protective Detention and Care of Intoxicated Persons Act be amended, that Bill 48 be amended by adding the following after Clause 11. Operator must provide information to the Minister. 11.1 bracket 1, the operator of a protective care centre must provide the following information. Dispense. The operator of a protective care centre must provide the following information for a previous year to the minister responsible for this act within 60 days after January 1 of each year. A, the number of persons who are detained in the protective care centre. B, the number of persons who are detained in the protective care centre more than once. C, aggregate non-identifying information relating to the persons who are detained in the protective care centre, including sex, gender, and age. D, the number of serious injuries or deaths of detained persons that occurred in the protective care centre. E, the types of programs and services offered to detained persons during their detention or at the time of their release. F, the number of persons who are allowed to remain at the protective care centre to receive additional care or services under Section 10. Minister must make annual report. 11.1 bracket 2, within 3 months after the end of the government's fiscal year, the minister responsible for this act must prepare a report that sets out the information provided by each operator of a protective care centre under subsection 1. Tabling report 11.1 bracket 3, the minister responsible for this act must table a copy of the report under subsection 2 on any of the first 15 days in which the Assembly is sitting after the report is completed. Publication of report 11.1 bracket 4, the minister responsible for this act must report publicly available on a government website as soon as practicable after tabling the report in the Assembly. The amendment is in order. The floor is open for debate. The Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise once again to speak to the amendment I have brought forward to Bill 48, the Protective Detention and Care of Intoxicated Persons Act. These amendments are about accountability. They're about transparency and Honourable Speaker, they're about trust. Trust that the public deserves when a government proposes a law that allows the detention of people under the influence of intoxicated substances. The amendment before us today would add a new section, Section 11.1, requiring operators of protective care centres to report annually to the minister on how those centres are being used and requiring the minister to report publicly to Manitobans. This is not about politics, it's about good governance. Without transparency, there can be no public confidence. Honourable Speaker, the problem is that we are being asked to approve a bill that gives the government broad powers, but with almost no public information on how those powers will be exercised. At the bill briefing, members of this House asked clear questions. What is a protective care centre? Who will operate it? Health authorities, nonprofit, law enforcement? What kind of care will be provided? What happens to someone once they're released? We received absolutely no substantive answers. There was no operational guidelines, no data model, and no public reporting. And when the bill went to committee, Manitobans who wanted to speak to these very issues, frontline workers, advocates, a former psychiatrist with the province of Manitoba, and concerned citizens were cut off. They were never heard. Honourable Speaker, this is not how we build public policy in a democracy. The process failed the public. Our amendment is an effort to correct that failure. The amendment I have proposed adds section 11.1 to Bill 48. It requires each operator of a protective care centre to report annually to the minister within 60 days after January 1st, the following. How many people were detained? How many people were detained more than once? The aggregate data on age, sex, and gender, the number of serious injuries or death that occurred, the programs and services offered to detained persons, and how many individuals remain voluntary for care after release. Then the minister must compile this data into a public annual report, table it to the legislature within 3 months of the end of the fiscal year, and make it available online for all Manitobans to see. This is straightforward, Honourable Speaker. It's professional, it's measurable, and it's minimum standards for transparency in any system that detains people, especially those who are intoxicated and vulnerable. We heard today from the Premier, who referred today in question period that Bill 48 was about sobering sites, not protective care centres. So what is it going to be? Manitobans deserve answers. This is unacceptable. If the government cannot explain in advance what a protective care centre is or a sobering facility, then it must at least agree to report back on what those centres are doing once they exist. Otherwise, Manitobans will have no way to know how many people are being detained, whether the same people are being detained are being cycled through repeatedly, whether injuries or deaths are occurring, or whether the promised care is being delivered at all. Without that information, there is no accountability. Honourable Speaker, this government says it wants to replace police holding cells and hospital beds with compassionate care. That is a goal we all share, but without any data, we can't measure that. We can't know whether those centres are working or whether they're just shifting the problem from one system to another. Data is not paperwork, it is proof. Honourable Speaker, any program that detains Manitobans, even temporarily, must meet the highest possible standards of transparency. The public has the right to know how these facilities operate, how safe they are, and whether they respect the rights and dignity of people. And I want to table today, because there were some doctors quoted from the committee, and I'll table those today. If a person continues to be unstable, mentally, psychotic, or agitated beyond 72 hours, they require psychiatric hospitalization due to prolonged crystal methamphetamine intoxication. That can last 7 to 10 days or have co-occurring psychotic or mental disorder. Dr. Aaron Knight said, Dr. Aaron Knight, support the updating of the IPDA legislation from the perspective of addictive care, provided it is implemented with sufficient medical oversight to identify high-risk withdrawals and medical complications. Ben Fry, this extension underscores the need for more appropriate safety and medical supervision over a longer period of time, including food, water, medication to manage intoxication and agitation, as well as robust housing, mental health, and addiction support. There is no sign of that anywhere, Honourable Speaker. If I can continue on. This amendment requires public reporting, not private memos. It forces the government to open about the results, whether they're good or whether they're bad. If the program is working, the data will show that. If it's not, Manitobans will see that too. That's how accountability is supposed to work. We've seen too many programs launched with promises and slogans only to vanish into silence because there was no reporting built into legislation. This amendment ensures Bill 48 does not become another one of those cases. Honourable Speaker, the process for this bill has already damaged the public's confidence. People were shut out of committee. Questions went unanswered at briefings. The government has yet to release even a basic operational outline for how these centres function. We saw at committee where a number of folks at committee weren't given enough time to finish their presentation. The member from Kildonan River East said if we let everyone speak, we could be here all night. Isn't it important that we are able to hear from Manitobans that are concerned? Adding this amendment is the least government can do to show that it's willing to be transparent and accountable after the fact. If it won't be before, that's the level of respect the public deserves. Honourable Speaker, our progressive Conservative team supports the goal of providing safer, more compassionate care for people who are intoxicated and at risk. But compassion without accountability is not progress, it's promise without any proof. This amendment gives Bill 48 real content. It fills in what has been missing from the start: data, oversight, and public transparency. Manitobans are being asked to trust that the government knows what it's doing. Trust must be earned through openness, not secrecy. If the government truly believes the value of these protective care centres, then there should be nothing to hide. So I urge every member of this House to support this amendment. It strengthens Bill 48, and it protects the people that will be taken in. It rebuilds trust in the process that has shut so many people out, and it ensures that the words protective and care actually mean something. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable Minister of Families.
Thank you much, Honourable Speaker. I'm pleased to put a couple of words on the record in respect of this amendment, the proposed amendment to Bill 48. Before I begin, though, I actually want to give a little bit of a shout out to the member for Steinbach. And actually say in the chamber, I miss working with the member for Steinbach, because the member for Steinbach understood the way that this space operates and the business that we're charged with in respect of and on behalf of Manitobans.
Uh-oh, Derek's back.
I remember I remember, and the member for Steinbach will remember this. I remember I was sitting across the way, and my predecessor, former Minister Rochelle Squires, tapped me on the shoulder, and she said, "Can we chat?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And so we sat in the loge right there, and she said, "You know, we really need." I can't remember what bill it was. I'll say Bill 41. I can't remember the actual number. But we really need this bill to pass. It's a government non-specified bill. And I said, okay. I said, well, what's the bill about? And she said, well, the bill is about the ability for government to enter into a coordination agreement with Peguis First Nation to transfer child welfare to Peguis. And I said, yeah. I said, absolutely. And went back to my caucus and to the leader at the time, the now premier, and we had this discussion on this, you know, non-specified government bill. And I remember then having a conversation with the member for Steinbach, and I mentioned at that time that, yeah, of course we would support this bill. And the reason why I share that story with folks in the chamber is because I think I'm going on maybe like 8.5, 9 years of being both the opposition House Leader and now the government House Leader. So I've seen every type of negotiation in this chamber and outside this chamber. And in fact, the member for Steinbach and I were once, at the end of session, we were once recognized by the former speaker, who said that she actually, you know, was really proud of the work that we were able to do and that we were able to work together. And I share that because I knew, as the House Leader, even in opposition, that there were some bills that were too important to let games or politics get in the way. I knew that during those years that I was the opposition House Leader, that there were some bills that we needed to support because it was in the best interest of Manitobans. And that's what we're elected to do. We're elected to do what's in the best interest of Manitobans and in the best interest of our province. And there's many examples, and I'm sure that the member for Steinbach can attest to the good negotiations that we had. And so I concur with the MLA for Portage. I agree with the MLA for Portage that reporting is an important part of any legislative framework or any practice. And that's why I had a good meeting. I thought I had a good meeting with the opposition House Leader this morning in my office, and offered the government House Leader, offered members opposite this report stage amendment. I offered this today. I said, we will support this report stage amendment. I think we can all agree that an additional level of reporting is always a good thing. And so we offered that to members opposite.
About the amendment.
And members opposite said no to our side, our government caucus, supporting this amendment. So the member for Portage got up and spoke for his 10 minutes, talking about the importance of this amendment. We agree, and so we offered it to them in order for them to support Bill 48, which I would submit to the chamber and to Manitobans is one of those bills, one of those times in our political career where it's a bill that is so important that all of us need to be able to come together and to support. We need to put aside the political theatrics, the political games, people's egos, and be able to support a bill that will keep Manitobans safe. My son, Nichanis, he has a friend. She's just in the last weeks of graduating with her X-ray technician. And last month, Nichanis came up to me and he said, Mom, he said, and for, I'm not going to say her name, let's just call her Cindy. Nichanis said, Mom, he's like, Cindy's grandparents were attacked. I said, what do you mean? He says, they were both attacked. He says, they're in the hospital. And he says, the family doesn't know if they're going to survive. I said, my God, that's horrible. And Cindy came over a couple of hours later and to hang out with my son and to just for my son to be able to support her. And Cindy showed me, first off, she told me what happened. Her grandparents had just been out for a walk after supper. And she showed me the pictures of her grandparents in the hospital. And they were heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. And Cindy shared with me, as she was crying, that her grandmother had just survived going through lung cancer. And so here are this couple in their 80s who were beaten the crap out of, one of whom just survived lung cancer. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about political games. We're not talking about, whoever's ego needs to be stroked. We're talking about Manitoba lives that are at risk. I have permission from Cindy to share this. I asked for permission first. And I want to share with the House that both of her grandparents are out of the hospital and on the road to recovery. But it's something that was devastating to the family to see their fragile seniors just so abominably and horribly attacked. That's what we're trying to prevent. That's what we're trying to mitigate with Bill 48. And so, like that time when Minister Squires sat with me on the loge and said, we need this bill to affect change in Manitoba, I supported that. Our opposition caucus supported that. Our leader, now the Premier at the time, supported that. And it shows that when there are bills that are so important for Manitoba and the trajectory that where we want our province to go, that is when we must come together. And so I've had the benefit of being in this role, again, 8.5, 9 years, I'm not even sure. And I've seen a lot of opportunities where we worked together, both the opposition and the government at the time, to be able to do what we're elected to do what's in the best interest of Manitobans. And so once again, we will support this amendment. If the members opposite will support Bill 48, allow Bill 48 to go through all of the stages and to receive royal assent before we rise. It is one of those bills, as I have said many times, that it is in the best interest of Manitoba and Manitobans. So I ask members opposite, you want this amendment? We've said yes. We're willing to support it if you support the bill. Miigwech.
The honourable member for Fort Garry.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I suspect that the goodwill that the government House Leader is going to be tested today, because this matter is coming to a vote, and we'll see if they in fact do support this important amendment, because I certainly do. We are not talking about treatment beds. We are not talking about therapeutic beds. What Bill 48 does is create jail beds. It creates jail beds for nonviolent mental health patients who happen to use drugs to cope. So there are no due process safety safeguards in this legislation, and this legislation will cause harm. There is overwhelming evidence, and this has been tried before, where you force treatment on somebody, it doesn't work to begin with, and the reverse is true. It often has collateral impacts that ends up hurting the people that you claim to support. Coercion is not compassion. And that's what Bill 48 is. It's about coercion. Now, our chief judge in Manitoba has described our justice system as being systemically racist. And what he means by that is that it's not neutral, that it doesn't affect Manitobans equally, and certain demographics are adversely affected by our laws, and we have to be mindful of it. When we talk about systemic racism going forward in Manitoba, we will be pointing to Bill 48. And this will be the example we use of a law that has significant implications for Manitobans. So Manitobans who've committed no crime will be forcefully detained and jailed in a windowless solitary confinement cell for up to 72 hours. They will not be allowed to bathe. They will not be allowed to change their clothes. They will have to eat next to a toilet in their cells. They will have to sleep with the lights on 24 hours a day. They will lie on a thin mattress on the ground, on a concrete floor. I suspect they won't even be given a blanket. People who have lived these conditions in the current sobering center describe it as humiliation. These are inhumane conditions for somebody who has committed no crime and has done nothing wrong. These are dangerous facilities, violent facilities that have their own category of complaints at the Law Enforcement Review Agency, which reports each year about problematic detentions at the current sobering center. It's well documented, these complaints of police abusing this law in its current form for 24 hours. Imagine at 72 hours. There is no complaint process in this bill. There's no right to appear before a magistrate to plead that you were mistakenly taken into custody. There is no objective test that you are even impaired or still impaired after 24 hours. And at the complete control and discretion of whatever police officer arrests you and whoever is the paid prison guard who's overseeing you. You don't even get a phone call to a family member to get you out or to a lawyer. And you're barred from suing the province or the city when your rights have been abused and you've been illegally detained. But it gets worse, and here's why these reporting conditions are so critical. Because this law only applies to people who are intoxicated in public. That's the key word. It targets and will be disproportionately used against Indigenous and other racialized minorities, poor, homeless, and the most vulnerable Manitobans. That's already taking place under the current law. We also know not only is this law racist, it also is very much sexist. And we know this from the Women's Resource Center that came to committee and spoke to educate this chamber. And they warned, and the government certainly didn't listen, that this law will disproportionately impact women. Women are using meth for several reasons. Women who are homeless are obviously, food insecure and are often starving. Well, meth gets rid of the cravings and the hunger pains. So it gives a reason for people to use that so you don't feel the hunger. It also keeps you awake. Many women do not feel safe going to Manitoba shelters. They find them dangerous, violent places where they're often preyed upon. Not being able to go to the shelter, you have to stay outdoors. Having to stay outdoors, there's no shortage of predators there. That means you have to stay awake. Well, meth allows people to do that and stay vigilant and awake for their own safety. And they take meth for that purpose. All this would combine to mean that they will more likely be arrested, picked up, thrown into these detention facilities, and held than others of Manitobans would. This amendment will force the government to keep that data, showing that their policy is causing real harm to specific groups in Manitoba. Now, in fairness, I don't think this amendment goes far enough. I am going to support it. It doesn't collect data for racialized Manitobans. It absolutely should. That data will clearly show what we all know, is that this is one of the drivers of our system being systemically racist. Government policy and taxpayer money is going to fund the furthering of a systemically racist justice system. And collecting gender, age, and frequency data is a good start. Again, I wish this wasn't necessary. The Canoe government has left many people behind, including women and BIPOC Manitobans. It has refused to invest and improve the shelter system and to listen to the women who are forced to use it. Our shelters should be safe places, and they should be a positive alternative to sleeping rough. But this government has absolutely ignored that and not made those safe. This government has shown in this bill that it is easy and quick to find money for new jail spaces, but when it comes to treatment beds, when it comes to improving shelters, when it comes to actually providing real mental health supports, keep in mind the Mental Health Crisis Center recently in the news was raising the alarm that they are chronically underfunded and cannot keep up with demand. We had a recent inquest report from a provincial court judge in relation to...
Order, please.
Yes.
I've given the member quite a bit of leeway in making sure his comments are relevant to the amendment. It's time to kind of stick to the amendment now. The honourable member for Fort Garry.
Well, thank you, Honourable Speaker, for your guidance. Where I'm going, and I'll be quicker about this, is I'm trying to show that there's been an adverse impact in Manitoba about who gets, basically falls under these type of rules, who's going to get adversely impacted in those rules, and the different approaches the government has taken, and that they've taken more of a punitive approach as opposed to one that actually would address the causes of the crisis and would actually make a dent into keeping people safe, and that this is more of a public relations exercise. It's more about appearing to do something. It's more about showing, it's basically trying to disappear embarrassing Manitobans. The Manitobans that this government is embarrassed about, shamed about, because when Manitobans see these individuals, they see that the government's policies when it comes to mental health and addictions are failing in a very real and visceral way. And so instead of addressing the problem and actually fixing it, this government wants to take people off the streets. And this is going to have an adverse effect. Their lives will get harmed from this. And we need this amendment because it's going to show Manitobans what I think is becoming more and more obvious to people in this chamber, that this law doesn't actually do what they're saying it does. It doesn't actually help Manitobans. And this is one minor safeguard to protect Manitobans and to sort of tell the true story about Bill 48, that it's not about treatment, it's about punishment, it's about jail. It doesn't keep people safe at all. And we'll see, because I think the government House Leader is not sincere when she says she supports this amendment, and I suspect that they'll be voting against it later on this afternoon, which again, this long rambling speech of hers about trying to build trust between House leaders, I think that will actually set things back and be entirely bad for this chamber. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
There are no further speakers. Is the House ready for the question? The question before the House is the report stage amendment brought forward by the Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? I hear no. All those in the chamber in favour of accepting the amendment, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Nay. I believe the nays have it. The Honourable Opposition House Leader.
Recorded vote, please.
Our recorded vote has been called. Call in the members. Order, please. The question before the House is the... The question before the House is the second report stage amendment to Bill 48, the Protective Detention and Care of Intoxicated Persons Act. All those in the House in favor of the motion, please rise.
Mr. Khan,
Mr. Khan,
Mr. Johnson,
Mr. Johnson,
MLA Bariza,
MLA Bariza,
Mrs. Cook,
Mrs. Cook,
Mr. Narth,
Mr. Narth,
Ms. Byram,
Ms. Byram,
Mr. Gertson,
Mr. Gertson,
Mrs. Hebert,
Mrs. Hebert,
Mr. Balkan,
Mr. Balkan,
Mr. Ginter,
Mr. Ginter,
Mr. King,
Mr. King,
Mr. Iwasko,
Mr. Iwasko,
Mr. Vasiliu,
Mr. Vasiliu,
Mr. Wharton,
Mr. Wharton,
Mr. Wojcik,
Mr. Wojcik,
Mr. Nesbitt,
Mr. Nesbitt,
Mrs. Robbins,
Mrs. Robbins,
Mr. Prashad,
Mr. Pashot,
MLA Lamoureux.
MLA Lamoureux.
All those in the House opposed to the motion, please rise.
Honorable Mr. Canoe,
Honourable Mr. Canoe,
Honorable Minister Fontaine,
Honourable Minister Fontaine,
Honorable Minister Schmidt,
Honourable Minister Schmidt,
Honorable Mr. Weeb,
Honourable Mr. Weeb,
Honorable Minister Asaguara,
Honourable Mr. Asaguera,
Honorable Minister Sala,
Honourable Minister Sala,
Honorable Mr. Costician,
Honourable Mr. Costician,
Honorable Mr. Bushy,
Honourable Mr. Bushy,
Honorable Mr. Samard,
Honourable Mr. Samad,
Honorable Minister Marcelino,
Honourable Minister Marcelino,
Honorable Minister Kennedy,
Honourable Minister Kennedy,
Honorable Mr. Moses,
Honourable Mr. Moses,
Honorable Minister Cable,
Honourable Minister Cable,
Honorable Minister Naylor,
Honourable Minister Naylor,
Honorable Mr. Sandhu, or is it Minister?
Honourable Minister Sandhu,
Honorable Minister Moyes,
Honourable Minister Moyes,
Honorable Minister Morose,
Honourable Minister Morose,
MLA Malloy,
MLA Malloway,
MLA Corbett,
MLA Corbett,
Mr. Blaschko,
Mr. Blaschko,
MLA Chen,
MLA Chen,
MLA Pankratz,
MLA Pankratz,
MLA Devgan,
MLA Devgan,
MLA Compton,
MLA Compton,
MLA Lozelle,
MLA Loisel,
MLA Dela Cruz,
MLA De La Cruz,
Mrs. Schott,
Mrs. Schott,
Mr. Brar,
Mr. Bra,
MLA Cross.
MLA Cross.
We will now conduct the alphabetical roll call of members participating virtually, and as a reminder to all virtual members, please respond clearly with either I vote yes or I vote no, only when your name is called. To also remind members to unmute their mics only when they are recognized and then immediately mute it again once they've declared their vote. The page will now conduct the vote.
MLA Lagasse,
I vote yes.
MLA Lagasse votes yes.
Ms. Laughlin,
I vote no.
Ms. Laughlin votes no.
Mr. Oxenham,
I vote no.
Mr. Oxenham votes no.
Mr. Panouk,
I vote yes.
Mr. Panouk votes yes.
Honorable Ms. Smith.
I vote no.
Honourable Ms. Smith votes no. Well done. Ayes 21, nays 32.
The motion is accordingly defeated. The hour now being past 5 p.m., this House is adjourned and stands adjourned until 10 o'clock tomorrow.